What's going on today? I'm in my other office here. If you're new to this stuff, I'm Jason Yee. Welcome to Train 2.0. I like doing these live feeds because I get to answer questions, test out what titles excite you guys, and I'm really here to help hockey players because from my personal experience, I searched for a lot of answers. I worked really hard, I invested a lot of energy and money into my hockey career, and not through anyone's fault, but just because the information wasn't out there, I didn't achieve my goal. And one of my life philosophies is live or win or learn. And so if I don't win, if I don't achieve my goal, there's something to be learned from it. And so what I was able to learn from not achieving my goal was that there's a different set of instructions. It's hidden, not because anyone's hiding it, because it's not known, that you can follow to become what I like to call a hockey wizard. So that's why I do what I do. And that's what Train 2.0 is all about. It's a mission to create and give the hockey instructions to hardworking players like you and parents who are looking for that information that is outside the box, maverick thinking, and stuff that actually makes a difference. And if it doesn't make a difference, right, it's win or learn. Right, so it's either you achieve your goal or you learn and adjust. So I try to be anti-dogmatic. I try to my own dogma, my anti-dogma is to fully admit that I could be wrong in everything, and test what works, figure out what works and what doesn't. My own approaches might be wrong. I have great questions all the time. I don't care if I'm right. Okay, all I care about is that players who want to get better, get better. And it's my goal with Train 2.0 to create that system so that any player can get better. So today I wanted to chat a little bit about the Bowlegged thing because this is interesting to me. And so I've played with this theory in my head quite a bit. I want to hear what you guys think. And the idea, because this sparked quite a bit of debate and questioning yesterday, and that was, do bow-legged players have an advantage? I asked the question, is it possible that the bow-legged players are simply drone coach resistant? Because I see these power skating coaches teaching drills that, now that I understand how the Wizards actually skate, these drone coach drills have no bearing or resemblance to the hockey Wizards skating stride. Right? Interesting. So is it that these bow-legged players are they're such geniuses, or some power skating coach came along and was able to craft them, mold them like some clay? But, or maybe it's just simply that the drone coaching didn't work on these Wizards, and they were resistant to the drone coaching, and they were they developed the magic mechanics, right? Maybe that's the case. It's hard to falsify. Now, here's the test, okay? Here's the test. Test me, test other coaches. Here's the test. If there was a Wizard coach somewhere who had the answer, he wouldn't pop out just a Crosby or just a McDavid or, whoever. He'd pop out, or she would pop out, a whole host of players that move, skate, shoot, stick handle all the same way. Okay, who comes to mind? Belfry. Right, that's the first person that comes to mind. We'll see if Boris Doroshenko, he's produced Matthews, right? The test for him is, can he continue producing that? And I think he has a number of other players that have done that. the test for me will be, can I produce players that are in the NHL dominating, and can I continue to do that, right? Because if I hitch my wagon to one player and say, yes, if Connor McDavid comes across me, or if I come across Connor McDavid and I hitch my wagon, I say, yes, I built him, hands down, and then everyone flocks to me, that's not a good test, right? So an interesting thing will be to see if the magic mechanics are the thing, right? If bow-leggedness is a thing, or we'll see, right? If magic mechanics are the thing, or if bow-leggedness is the thing, then this is how you'll test if I'm right or not, you should see a bunch of players that I'm working with skating about the same way, and it doesn't matter if they're bow-legged or not. Or you'll see that the mechanics I'm teaching them makes them bow-legged artificially, because it's possible to do. We're going to talk about it in the membership area on Tuesday. And then that'll show that the relationship between bow-leggedness and not. So I'm going to take a look here at the questions here, thoughts. So Trevor is a great skater, and he says he realized that he's bow-legged today. That's interesting. And he says he thinks that it might be that the musculature prevents the drone movements. I'd agree with that. That's possible. Is bow-leggedness also attributed to the lateral crossover? I feel like it might be. So here's the interesting thing. We're going to talk about this on Tuesday. I'm going to dive deep into this. But remember what I said about is bow-leggedness like an actual bone alignment? Because people like to say, oh, my rib is out of place, right? But if your rib is out of place, you'd be screaming in pain, okay? But your rib might be, able to be, manipulated by a chiropractor, and there might be a pop sound, right? Like one of those, right? Because of the tension around that joint due to the muscles, right? So if we're talking about, it might be that the movements, the musculature that you have, that you're activating in the correct skating, might force you into bow-leggedness. So how do you then create that, right? So the thing is I don't think anyone knows the answer to this. Like, no one, and like I said, it would be very impossible to prove. Only time is going to tell. So pay attention, watch, start. And I wouldn't want to be stuck on the sidelines watching. So it's Boris Doroshenko. He's the guy who developed Matthews. Has he got an online feed? No, but he has a Instagram. I think also Twitter. I find him interesting. So Nick is saying, I'm bow-legged and have good technique. What should I work on now for skating to get even faster? I always burst your bubble here, Nick, because what do you guys think? If you're already fast, do you need to skate faster? What do you guys think? You guys are all smart watching. If you're fast already, if you're faster than everyone, do you need to skate faster? Is that a competitive advantage? Is that a translatable skill? Is speed a translatable skill? Sure, you can always improve your skating, but if you're already faster than everyone, right? Do you need to improve it? Should that be where your number one focus is, right? I'm asking this question out of context. Maybe everything else is great too, and skating is your unique point of leverage. What I always caution players against is don't improve your strengths. More speed is great, but Trevor, is it a translatable skill, right? If all things held equal, when you get to the NHL, right, it's not the skating speed, it's the patterning, right? Connor McDavid looks fast because he's got a different pattern than everyone else, right? Yes, he's the fastest guy in the NHL as per the clocking, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but that alone does not separate him. It's the fact that he can execute these highly deceptive maneuvers with complete control of the puck, and that comes down to his patterning that makes him so good. So focusing on one variable, on speed, okay, is probably not the unique point of reference. I think I've talked about this, the 80-20 principle, right? What is the 20% of things that are going to produce 80% of the results? Okay, is skating speed. If you're already great at skating speed, you're already the fastest. Do you need to continue to focus on that? No, there's probably another unique point that you can press on, a button to press that's going to make a big overall change in your game. Okay, maybe it is skating. I don't know the answer. But I don't want you to just think faster. I want you to think of what else to do. Okay, where is that next point where I need to focus my attention? You only have so many hours in a day, right? You only have a little bit of time in a day to get better at hockey, to improve, right? You only have a little bit of time. So are you going to spend or invest your time in something you're already fantastic in because you don't want to become slower, right? No one wants to be slower. Everyone wants to be the best. But where do you spend your time? So it's 80-20. That's what the source code drills are all about. And if you're watching and if you're a member, I want you to complete the source code drills, find a way to do that, okay? And send those to me, because every version, every time you go through, you're going to get closer and closer to NHL caliber skills. And if not, the system improves and adjusts and gets better. There you go. Yeah, you're totally right, Trevor. Change of speed is more important. Speed is pretty much the same when you're playing at certain levels. It's how you use the speed that counts. 100% correct, Tim. So I'm saying be intelligent. Okay, you're intelligent people. That's why you're here. Be intelligent about where you're spending your time, effort, and energy. Speed is going to get you noticed. Okay, but it's not the word here. The term is necessary, but not sufficient. Right? What that means is it's necessary for everyone to be fast. Everyone in the NHL, it's necessary for them to be fast. Okay? But it's not sufficient. I know a ton of fast players who do not have the other parts of the magic formula, the magic mechanics. Right? If speed was necessary and sufficient, I'd be in the NHL. I have flat out, hands down, beat NHLers in races for pucks or whatever. So, unfortunately, that totally invalidates the idea that if you're fast enough, you will get there. I was the fastest. I was very, very fast. And I didn't make the NHL. So I want to burst your bubble now so that you can think more critically about other things. Where should you be spending your time and energy? But that said, more speed is always good. I agree with that. What advice do I have for smaller players playing against bigger players? Master the Crosby puck protection formula. Simple. Crosby's a smaller player than a lot of other players, Master the Crosby puck protection formula, because it's not. It's a formula. It's a formula. It's about 3-4 movements that he combines. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? He just combines them and he just shifts them. He shifts the order as he keeps control of the puck. It's a formula. Okay, you can learn it. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can master it. Hands down. I have 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds learn it, master it. Boom. You can do that, and that'll help you against bigger players. And you don't need to be stronger. You just need to use the formula, because it's a combination of movement and puck protection, creating a hip wall that allows him to keep the puck. So that's what I would do if you're a smaller player playing against bigger players. Focus on executing everything at a higher speed. Yep. Changes. I agree with this point most. Change of speed is most important, and speed is pretty much the same when you're playing at certain levels. That's how you use the speed that counts. Totally. So there's this. You're gonna get to a point, like Nick. Let's say that you have NHL level speed. Great, right? You're gonna get to the NHL, and everyone has the same speed. How do I defend against good puck protection and not get left in the dust when other player breaks and accelerates again? How do you not get left in the dust? Well, I'm a big player, so I should master the hit the Crosby formula. Yeah, that's hilarious. I like that. Master the hit the Crosby formula. If you can do that, you'll be good. I like this Belfry quote. If I'm really fast, that's not an asset unless I use it in change of speed. Totally agree. Okay, so how do you defend against good puck protection and not get left in the dust? Well, you got to minimize the other player's options. Okay, so to the point where they're minimized from 5 options to 4 options to 3 options to 2 options to 1 to 0, and that 0 means you're taking the puck off them, right? So it's always a game of cat and mouse when you're playing defense and forward. The forward comes up with a move, the defenseman comes up with a counter move. You can the 80-20 way to answer this question is to simply have great angles and have great gaps and read the plays well, time the plays well. What do I mean by that? I mean the critical event anticipation I talked about with Kane, right? In his video. So that's kind of it. The other thing is if you're playing in a way where you always have the right positioning, you can deal with quite a bit of these players who are breaking and accelerating. And if you master the offensive magic mechanics for skating, it's very easy to then keep up with them. So things like if they get a step around you, using the hip scissor Crosby step to just catch up, you can catch up to them very quickly, very easily. I think I answered this question. Do you think lateral movement, crossover, mastery, and speed is more important than straight line skating? Yes, but at the same time, if you're using the magic mechanics, they're one and the same. The lateral movement and crossover mastery all comes from the same magic mechanics as the lateral move. They're about the same thing. Do I have some tips to come around a defender? I believe I made a video on that called the Connor McDavid Drive Wide Guide. I think it's around 45,000 views, so check that out. How do I execute plays faster? This is a tip I got from an NHL defenseman. Always look ahead for your pass. So as you're receiving the puck, your eyes should already be moving to the next spot. I talked about that in one of the webinars a couple weeks ago, so check that out. I talked about eye movement there. Is there a formula for agility? Yes, it's the magic mechanics for skating. So Nick, get me video of you doing the magic, the source code drills. All these things will be answered. All your questions, I've already anticipated them. So, and the answer is do the source code drills, send them to me, we go over them, you get better, just like that. Okay, well, if you have any other questions here, better ask them quickly because I gotta go train one of my clients here. FYI, coming to the membership area along with the level 1 source code drills is going to be off-ice source code drills, which will be filmed today. Yeah. Can I make a formula for how to be a Selkie winning forward? We'll get there. I don't see that as an 80-20 thing right now. But that's a really good idea. And so I'm going to build that for you. You heard in a video that there's a philosophy of behind body mechanics when you separate your lower body from your upper body. Do you agree with separating the two? No, they should always work synergistically. Hence why the source code drills are designed to have exactly that. Was that you, Nick, who emailed me or texted me? Yeah. Great question. So, do I agree with that? I've found it to not be very helpful. You stick handle with your heels and hips. Okay, so here's the interesting thing, Vladimir. You're asking, who do I think has the best hands in terms of stick handling, not the hips? Not the best hip move is to be the defenseman, just raw stick handling. I'd say Matthews. My conversation with Boris the other day was that he said he came across my video and he said the point that he realized that I shared with him was when I said in the Kane video, people stick handle with their heels and hips, not their hands. That was the point he brought up to me that made him realize we were on the same train of thought, whatever. So your question, Vladimir, is a good one, but it's not. It's interesting because in fact, the guy who you just said you think has the best hands stick handles from his hips and was trained to do so since he was 7. Interesting, right? So, all right, I maybe have time for one more question if you guys get to it in time, and then I've got to go take off and lift really heavy weight with my client who's also going to lift really heavy weight. Did I disagree about anything with Boris? I did not get into a deep enough conversation with him to see where we disagree or not. So it was a really great conversation. I really loved it. I learned a lot. But there wasn't, I don't know, we didn't get in deep enough to say if there's anything that was anything we disagree with. I find with coaches like Boris and Belfry, there might be a disagreement in terms of like the words or the drills or the procedure in achieving an objective, but coaches like that are seeing the objective more clearly than anyone, right? The drone coaches don't have any clue what the objective is, and therefore have no clue what the procedure is or what ideas should go into that procedure. So it's just a big old gong show, which is why when you hear them talk, it's very unclear what the hell they want from you because they're unclear in their own head. Whereas these higher level wizard coaches, I mean, I think of like Babcock or Vigneault or Kyle Bass or Kyle Bass, like Boris, Adam Nicholas, these guys who are thinking at this higher level, they're clear in their thinking. So my guess is that there might be an argument in terms of procedure, but there's probably not an argument in terms of overall philosophy. That's my guess. What separates a great defensive defenseman like Suter and Vlasic from other defensemen? My guess is, because if you look at the stats, I don't think there's going to be some sort of stat that says, some advanced stat that says, oh, this is what separates them statistically. So my guess is hockey hypnosis, right? Does the coach trust them to be in certain situations? And you might say, oh, well, that's how he plays. Well, remember that everything happens. If you want to persuade someone, if you want to hypnotize someone, you don't do it by doing anything yourself. You do it by changing the way they think about you. So, on some level, the coach trusts the player to do it. Maybe it's because he saw him in the right circumstance. Maybe it's because that player gave him the right impression. So that's where the hockey hypnosis side of it comes in, because from a skill standpoint, there's not much different, right? Maybe there's magic formulas, but it's hard to say. So what separates? I think it's psychological. I think it's how you represent it. Last question here. Is it important to find your playing style? Is it important to find your playing style to become better and know what to do? It's important to find, as Belfry says, it's important to find your identity, right? To know your identity, and that's based on the assets that you have as a player. And then there's other things you can build on top of your identity. So your identity is kind of like your foundation. I think there's stuff that can't really be taught that will give McDavid's Canes. Yeah, I think like there's stuff that can't really be taught. I mean, literally everything can be taught. It's just that in some cases, things take longer than others. And that length of time depends on a few things like passion and drive and can you rewire passion? Yes. But I mean, you kind of go where that 80-20 thing is, right? So if you're passionate about volleyball and you try and learn hockey, the person's going to learn volleyball faster. So I wouldn't ever limit. I don't like limiting and saying that. You're saying there's stuff that can't be taught. I think when you say that something that can't be taught, you're essentially believing in magic, right? I say magic mechanics and magic formulas and hockey hypnosis, and that's literally the magic behind it. Is that at first it doesn't seem like it's something you can teach until you figure out how to teach it. right? So let's say that there's percentages of their game, parts of their game that I don't yet know how to teach. That looks like magic to me. And the parts of it that you don't yet understand probably look like magic to you too, right? That is until someone figures out how to teach it. With that thought, I gotta leave you here because I got to go. See you guys tomorrow at some point.